Welcome! Welcome to the BNR?
BNR podcast.
BNR podcast.
Yep.
I did that, by the way, the other day when I did my TikTok.
That's how you entered it?
I couldn't remember jack squat about things that I should have known. It scared the heck out of me. Yeah. Anyway, we want to start this out by offering our sincerest, most heartfelt condolences to... it's hard to even say.
Yeah.
You know, Charlie Kirk and his family, those two little precious girls, it breaks both of our hearts. Breaks it. We really just want to say how sorry we are for that family, and they're in our prayers for sure.
Yeah, just a very calm, peaceful individual. Just always up for a good debate.
Class act.
And
he's exactly what our founding fathers wanted for us.
Yeah.
To be able to go to the town square, and in his case to universities, and debate.
Yeah.
Offer up. I mean, look, he took on all comers. He didn't call anybody. You know, the bottom line, if you wanted to show up to a Charlie Kirk event, and they were events.
Yeah.
You could, and he wasn't be like, well, no, you win, and we don't talk about that now. No, he whatever you wanted to talk about. Now, could he do some brutal takedowns? Yes, but he always brought facts every time, and a lot of people didn't like that because he stomped them like grapes.
But one of I think there's a really good feature to him as a human being. He was super respectful to anybody.
Yes.
I never once saw him debating anybody, going off on a tangent, motherfucking somebody, or raising his voice.
He didn't never cuss.
No, he never cussed.
He was a born-again Christian,
Yes.
and he took that very seriously.
Yes.
Yeah, I seen an interview today with Bibi Netanyahu, and Charlie Kirk had went over to Israel, and Bibi was talking about the absolute joy that Charlie Kirk had following in the footsteps of Jesus. It was powerful, he said. And so Charlie Kirk was a devout husband, a devout, I think he was don't quote me on this, it seems like he was a Catholic. He might not have been.
I'm not sure on what,
he was a Christian regardless.
He was a Christian.
He was a Christian. And, just unbelievable. Yeah, and he would take all comers, and he didn't, like you say, motherfuck them.
No.
He was always respectful. No, I watched a lot of Charlie Kirk debates, and if you brought stupidity, he'd smack you down. That's just that was his stuff.
But again, it was in a respectful manner.
Yeah. I mean,
he just brought facts.
A lot more respectful than I or maybe Bill would have been.
And the man just brought facts.
Yeah.
And I think that one of the best features with Charlie was an uneducated.
Never went to college.
And he could stand toe to toe with
anybody. Anybody, especially, let's be honest, a lot of universities hire some left-wing lunatic professors, and they would show up to the Charlie Kirk, and sometimes they'd be brave enough to get in front of the microphone and try to debate Charlie, and he would shred them.
Yeah,
because they have a flawed logic, they have a flawed ideology, and I think that people are Charlie's final gift to us.
Yeah.
Was illustrating how flawed the left can be. And no matter what anybody wants to say, well, there's just as many lunatics on the right. No, there's not. There is not.
Well, the one thing that I would like to say on his behalf was, as a conservative, he never promoted violence whatsoever. And I think that that's something that... we really need to, as conservatives, we really need to work that path. And again, I think the proof has always been in the puddings. When we go out for a protest or a demonstration, I don't think in the aftermath you see a bunch of burning buildings, broken down storefronts, things of that nature.
And that's kind of what I mean by flawed ideology, because if your ideology is not flawed, you do not need to burn down the Rite Aid at the corner.
No.
In your own neighborhood. Yeah, I can still remember, I think it was the Rodney King riots, and the pharmacy had been burnt down. And I remember they were interviewing an elderly black woman, and she was in tears because they burnt her pharmacy down, and now she had no way. This is years before they delivered stuff to your door and all that stuff. And she just didn't know how she was going to get her medication. But the left's ideology, the left's mentality is so wickedly flawed that they don't take into account the repercussions from their actions. They just don't. Shooting Charlie Kirk, no, they haven't got the guy yet. I'll be curious to see what he says. But shooting him, to be honest with you, is the worst thing they could have done.
Oh, that's just put fuel on the fire.
Yeah.
If you think that his movement's going away, it's coming. It's going to come at everybody on steroids.
Yeah.
And it's not going to. His philosophy's not going to change. It's just going to get bigger.
Everywhere I turned today on the internet, somebody was replaying or retweeting or everything a Charlie Kirk debate with somebody. And, I've seen hundreds of his debates, and I'm not exaggerating when I say that, literally hundreds. And never once did I ever say to myself, well, they got the best of Charlie. Never once.
Never.
So they've made him into, one, a martyr for the cause, and two, they've made him into an absolute legend. I know people personally who didn't know who he was until now.
Well, and with listening to a lot of people and a lot of people that have been in the media, and that's something we can talk about here in a little bit, but a lot of people that have been in the media that were introduced to him as he just started going. I've heard so many times today that his future was very, very bright, and
I heard people talk about him possibly being a presidential candidate.
Yes.
He was only 31?
31 years old, but I heard that many, many times today that the way he conducts himself, his beliefs,
and how smart he is,
and he's very intelligent and just knows how to surround himself with good people. But many of them were talking about him, his future.
I will tell you one of the most impressive things of today. Okay, was the way that the Trump administration has handled this was flawless. First, do you know how Charlie's body's being transported back home?
I heard it was on Air Force too.
Yeah. The vice president and his wife are personally going to retrieve Charlie's body and take him home. That is a class act, and it's all on Trump's orders. And then Trump announced today that he's giving Charlie the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the highest award that a president can give a civilian. Yeah. It's really amazing. The left has cheapened it as an award.
Yeah.
When they're giving it
the milkman gets it. Yeah.
When they're giving it to basically they're selling it. That's what they're doing. But that's the left. Forget them.
Yeah.
The truth of the matter is that when Trump gives the Presidential Medal of Freedom, it's well earned. And Charlie Kirk, I can't think of a better recipient. I really can't.
I would agree with you for sure.
And it's always hard when they get it, was it postpartumly or postmortemly? Or how's it after the death? I can't think of the term of that. And a lot of soldiers have gotten it, the Congressional Medal of Honor that way after they've been killed. But it just once again builds the legend of Charlie Kirk.
Well,
and he becomes a mythic person.
Yeah, I want to rewind just a little bit. We talked about what I had heard about people and him in the future, but people were actually pushing for him to run for office.
Yeah.
And he said no.
Yeah.
He said I am more better served staying out of that type of role and going across the nation and spreading my beliefs and opening up to our youth and letting them understand that there's more than one way of thinking.
Well, here's, to be honest with you, his major contribution to our times and our politics, the zeitgeist, if you will, it was going to universities and colleges and having debates. Because let's be honest, you send we'll just say 18-year-old off to college, and that's their first phase of hardcore indoctrination. So all they ever know is what these professors, and we teach our kids, hey, this is a professor, this is the knowledge that you're getting for what we're paying a lot of money for, and you have to respect them and all this stuff. But what they don't realize is that there are a lot of professors deserve zero respect because they're pushing a communist ideology, a communist agenda, and these kids are being brainwashed.
But let's even rewind a little earlier in life. He was pushing the fact that you're not going to push this LBGQ sex transgender things on my 6-year-old and tell them that it's okay. You should want a sex change and put these kids pornographic bullshit and fucking the books in these kids' in the libraries.
He fought hard against that.
Yeah.
But I think, he was a warrior in so many different ways.
Yes.
But to be honest with you, when you get to the college level, this is where people are really being molded. And that's why, they said that 98% of the graduates from any law school, pick a law school, it doesn't matter which one you pick, 98% of them come out as a leftist. That's the law schools. That's why you see, whenever you see these judges that Obama appointed and all these that Brandon appointed, they're all a bunch of leftists. Harvard has 350 professors. Of the 350 professors, 3 of them identify as a Republican.
That's crazy.
That's what Charlie Kirk understood.
Yeah.
And that's what he was, in his way, battling. Because he would show up to these universities, he would show up to these colleges, and he would say to the kids, bring your, whatever your professors have drilled in your head, let's talk about it. And then what happened was, he would destroy every argument that they had. Well, but my professor told me this. Well, your professor was very wrong, and here is why he was wrong. Yeah. And these kids, I mean, a lot of them not right away. Okay, but I'm sure that at some point in the next week or two or whatever, that went over and over.
Yeah, their wheels were spinning. They're starting to ask different questions.
That's right.
And connect the dots.
And he was so important to that, and that was his mission. Now, would he at some point been able to be recruited to be maybe a vice presidential candidate, or maybe even run for president? Maybe, but he was so in love with what he was doing because he knew. He was making a difference.
This country. Yeah. I mean, talk about a patriot.
A patriot. That's right. A patriot. And do you remember where you were at when you heard that he'd been shot?
Yeah, I was in my truck. Randy Wells called me.
Yeah.
And he goes, Billy, are you listening to the news? I go, no, I'm just listening to some radio.
Yeah, some music.
He's like, I just seen on social media that Charlie Kirk's been shot. Yeah. I go, you're joking. So...
Yeah, I was working on my TikTok, and I'll be honest with you, I hadn't looked at any news yet, and then Steve Bloom actually called me, says, hey, Charlie Kirk's been shot, and I'm like, and then his wife sent me a link to one of the more mild videos.
Versions, yeah.
The distance, but close enough, and I could tell where he was shot, and I could tell his body actions. And I believed in my heart that it was not a survivable shooting. It just wasn't.
Yeah.
And then when I seen the next one that I seen was much closer, and it showed the carotid was just ripped open, and blood was coming out in buckets.
Yeah.
And so they did manage to keep him alive. Got to the hospital, and they probably put him. They probably did an emergency stop on that carotid, and they were pumping blood through his body. He did have a pulse. But it was not something, let me put it this way. They kept him alive until the family could get there and be with him as he passed away. But when I seen him in that chair and I seen where he was shot and I seen because you're a hunter, a high-powered round, a 30-06 or even a 223 puts a certain shock into whatever it hits.
And you're talking this area right here. Yeah. That bullet goes in and expands, and I seen a copy of the video, and I really didn't want to see as much as I saw.
I wished I wouldn't have, to be honest with you. Because I knew he was dead long before they announced it.
But when I seen that, I mean, there's no surviving that type of impact and violence, that type of...
he would never have been the Charlie that we all knew. That's a fact. Even if they could have somehow managed to make him the best they could have hoped for, he'd been a vegetable. You don't have that. It's just like that woman on the train, which we will segue into. Trust me, we're going to be talking about that too. that Ukrainian woman on the train, when your carotid severed and you're bleeding out, there's really no blood going to the brain. And within 3 minutes, you become, most people, there's a lot of mitigating factors, but you become brain dead for all intents and purposes. And now there are some, like I said, mitigating factors. If you're lucky you're outside and it's 30 degrees out or colder, there's a lot of things that can...
Okay, back in the saddle here again after our brief break here.
A brief intermission.
Yeah.
We need to get that. Remember from when we were kids at the drive-in movie theater? They had the dancing popcorn and stuff.
Popcorn and shit, dancing around, making you hungry.
We should find that old clip and incorporate it into our stuff. That would be awesome. So, Charlie Kirk. I don't even know what more to say, other than, man, it's shocking.
Well, actually, I got a question for you.
Okay.
Why don't you share with me your thoughts, your emotions at the time that you heard what had happened?
Well, I was in disbelief. I couldn't wrap my head around that because I knew Charlie Kirk to be such a class act and such a great person. Deep down inside, I came to the realization a long time ago that leftists, especially young ones, are unhinged. If you haven't met a unhinged leftist yet, you're blessed. I see them all the time. I meet them all the time, and they have this crazy ideology. And here's the thing: I want everybody to remember. I said this: leftists are dangerous, dangerous people. You have to come to terms with that. You have to. Democrats aren't the Democrats that I grew up with or you grew up with.
No.
So I honest to God, I was just in disbelief. But when my buddy's wife sent me that video clip and I went to it, I clicked and went to it. It was crazy because I'm like, he's dead. There's no way he survives that. I've hunted all my life since I was 7 years old, and there is no way anybody could have survived that. So I went from disbelief to total shock. I did the whole range. I was pissed.
Yeah.
I was like, just a million things. And then when you start hearing other tidbits, like I didn't realize this, but his wife and his 2 kids were there. And I just pray that the kids were busy playing because they were young, really young.
Or that they weren't affected by the shot in the background.
Well, yes, of course. Now, by then I knew there was only one victim, but before I knew that his kids and his wife was there. But I'm sure that his wife, here's what I pray, and I don't know, but I hope that the kids were being kids, little kids, toddlers. I hope they weren't paying attention, and I hope she was distracted by them.
Yeah.
It was pandemonium after it happened. The one video I heard, I don't think it was his wife, I think it was a guy, but it was a horrible, no, Charlie, and because they just watched all that blood come out of Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
You couldn't, there's no. I was watching Megyn Kelly's show last night, and she had Glenn Beck, and she had a couple of people on there. And before Megyn started her live show, she watched that video that showed all that blood coming out. It was like if you had a big cup, or not even a cup, a gallon of blood, you just went, and she was so disturbed by that because she knew, and she even said this, that if that was real, she pinned her hopes on that it was AI or some fakeness, and because she knew if it wasn't fake, if it was real, he wasn't surviving that. And then Glenn Beck was getting information, and I don't know from whom, but a lot of it was like, Charlie's in critical condition, but he's going to be okay. He's got a pulse, everything. I guess, but he's going to be okay. No, he's not. But then even Glenn Beck. Now, Glenn Beck may have been a gentleman and was trying to placate the Megyn was almost crying.
I've seen her today, and she I believe she was in the middle of her podcast yesterday when she was alerted to it.
Did you hear her say that next week her and Charlie were going to go on tour together? Yeah. And so, God knows what's going through Megyn's head, but at least some of it must have been, my God, that could have been me up there.
Yep.
And let me tell you something, the same whack whacked out nut job leftist crazy people would love to kill her too. And Sean Hannity.
There's a whole little list of them. Candace Owens.
There's a whole list of them. And what was it when Kennedy got shot in '62? It was before I was born, but I think it was '62 in Dallas. And he was, and hindsight's always 20/20.
Yeah.
He was rolling through Dallas with the governor of Texas, and their families were all there in a open air limousine.
Yeah.
No top. And of course, you look at it, and you go, well, what were they thinking? Well, until certain things happen,
that's a non-question.
There have been times throughout history, like when Archduke Ferdinand got killed, he was in the back of a carriage, which turned into World War I. But he was assassinated riding in the back of a carriage. And every time something happens, things change. Now, unfortunately, because of these wackadoos, there's a very high likelihood that there will be no more open-air events like that. Which is really a shame, because if you think about what Charlie did, I don't know how many people were there at his event.
They said over 3,000.
It was thousands of people.
Yeah.
And there's a very good chance that, that vibe is never going to be replicated. Because, who can take the chance that some nut's going to be on a roof somewhere with a, bullet, from my understanding, a bolt action rifle.
Couple hundred yards away.
Yeah. People don't realize that, they always fixate on the evil black rifle, the evil, the AR-15. The truth of the matter is...
the evil person behind the
Well, no, not just that. But I have a deer rifle that if I was going to take a long shot at somebody, which I would never do because that's insane. But if I was insane and I was a leftist and I was going to do all that stuff, I would take a bolt-action a rifle with a scope long before I would try to do that with an AR-15 or an AK-47 or anything like that. Most people, when they talk about banning these guns and banning that, they really don't have a concept of what they're talking about.
No, some of those 30-06s, 308s, 243s.
A lot of those were built.
22 250s. Those are several 100-yard guns.
They were the rifles that were used during World War I, the trench warfare rifles, were designed to shoot 1,000 yards.
Yeah, the M1 Grand.
Yeah. Yep. So. And that's why when I heard people talking today, because Charlie Kirk was against gun control. And everybody's, the leftists, not everybody, but the leftists were like, I guess he got what he asked for. He was against using killings as a tool to ban guns. He was against that. And I believe in my heart that if Charlie could come back for 2 minutes and
he would say the same thing.
He'd say the same thing.
Yeah.
But the thing of it is that today I've heard a lot of stuff from the left about banning guns. What are you going to ban? Deer rifles? You're going to ban deer rifles? Is that what's going to happen? Bolt action rifles, you're going to ban those? Because that's what was used to kill Charlie Kirk from 200 yards away.
Yeah. One shot.
One shot, one kill.
Yeah.
That's kind of, that was the era that came from. The United States Marine Corps. One shot, one kill.
Yep.
So, I don't know. Anyway, how did you, what range of emotions did you experience?
Well, like I told you, Wells called me, and he's like, dude, something's going on here. I just heard that, Charlie Kirk was shot. He goes, I don't know if it's true or not. I seen it on social media. So I go, well, I'm in the middle of something real quick. So when I finish, let me get Sirius, radio on so I can get some news feed in here. And, they confirmed that, he had been shot. That he was in the hospital and he was working. They were working on him. Now, my range of emotions went from number one, I'm sad. This is a peaceful man. He's out there.
Well, nobody deserves that, but especially not Charlie.
No, he's a peaceful, respectful person. Okay. And I don't care how much you disagree with him. He wouldn't harm a fly.
Not a fly.
Okay? So, in my mind, I'm sad for him. I'm hoping he's going to come through, and I'm listening to all these reports, and then finally I hear the president put out a message that he is deceased.
Yeah.
So, at that point, your wheels are really spinning. I'm pissed. I'm angry, This guy is.
Well, at that time they were dragging that bald old guy out like he was somebody.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know the whole backstory about that.
They said they had somebody, in custody, and they had another guy, but they said that the one guy was some type of I don't know what the hell he is doing, obstructing the investigation or something. I'm not.
Now he may have been, because I've seen him on the old guy. He was on his knees,
Yeah.
and they had him handcuffed, and he kept on harping about how he has the right to remain silent. He may have just been a nutter himself. He might have been a college professor. He kind of looked like one.
Yep.
And yeah, he probably was trying to act like a fool, but plays stupid games, wins stupid prizes.
So yeah, I mean, you got all kinds of emotions running through your head. But when they announced that he was dead, I mean, I'm pretty pissed. I mean, like I said, this is a peaceful individual. This is a man of conviction. This is a man that he's not an angry person. He just wants to have conversation with people. Yeah. And you know what? If you got a view, he wants to talk about your view, and then if he believes your view is skewed or wrong, he'll tell you why.
Yeah, exactly.
He's not gonna just throw shit out.
He's not gonna be like me. I would go, "You're just an idiot."
Well, yeah, and he's not gonna claim somebody's an idiot and then not tell them why they're not an idiot.
Yeah.
Okay, which is what the other side seems to do a lot.
Yeah.
But a very respectful person. And I believe that what he was doing, getting out there, getting the youth involved, going to the colleges, letting them have, good dialogue. And again, this isn't a guy coming in here telling them to, hey, everybody wear black and make sure you got a hood and a mask on.
Right.
Am I right? Am I right? No, you didn't see that shit.
No.
When he had his visits to these schools, so I was pretty upset.
Yeah. What do you think about? What's your take on the leftist propaganda outlets like MSNBC?
That was going to be my next thing that I wanted to talk to you about. I had heard yesterday that one of the people on one of the channels had made a comment that he deserved it, and I'm like, you know what? There's so much shit flying out there on the wall. I don't want to make judgment until it's confirmed.
Right.
And they confirmed it.
Yeah.
And that guy's no longer working.
They did the right thing.
Yeah.
I can't think of his name because he's a loser, and
I've never even heard of him.
Never.
To be honest with you.
Yeah.
But my point is this: how can you, as a professional, in any type of media, make a comment that person deserved to die?
Yeah.
He wasn't there attacking anybody.
Yeah.
There's nothing physical about the guy.
Yeah.
But again, our media has a lot to do with what's going on with this anger.
Well, when you call somebody Hitler over and over and over, and it's like the old saying, well, if you could go back in time and take out Adolf Hitler and say 1932 before he took power in 33, wouldn't you do that? Well, that's fantasy land.
Yeah, exactly. Shoulda, woulda,
shoulda, woulda, coulda. And you aren't going to go back, and you are not going to kill Adolf Hitler at the beer stube in 1932.
No.
The beer hall. It's not going to happen.
No.
So I heard people yesterday say, well, Charlie Kirk, and they would say this, well, if you could go back in time and take out Goebbels, or if you could take out, any number of... First of all, Charlie Kirk was the furthest thing away from Goebbels or Himmler or any of those people that were part of, the henchmen of Adolf Hitler. The furthest thing away.
Yeah.
But see, the problem with, and it goes back to, and I got something I'm going to say. I don't want to say it right yet, but stay tuned. So, I mean, as far as the meeting, you see what happened with TMZ.
That was actually a note that I have down here.
Yeah, they were laughing. You couldn't see them. They were off camera.
TMZ, I have a note here. Cheering in the background of Charlie Kirk's death.
Now, I will tell you, the guy that owns TMZ, Harvey something.
Harvey, he's a Jew.
Yeah.
I forget his last name.
Anyway, you all know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
He immediately realized, oh, fuck.
Yeah,
and then
there's a shitstorm coming.
There's a shitstorm coming because he's been around. He's been in the business for a very long time.
Oh yeah.
And you can act a fool and get ratings and this, that, and the other, but there are sharks that you must not ever jump.
Yep.
Which is a Fonzarella thing, if you don't know. So yeah, I mean, he almost immediately started apologizing profusely, and I would hope that he fired a bunch of those clowns. They're being recorded live, and they're putting Harvey's business at risk.
Yeah, Harvey's asking for information. He's saying, "What's going on? What are you hearing?"
Yeah.
And somebody said Charlie Kirk's dead, and you heard a bunch of cheering in the background.
Yeah.
And I guarantee at that moment he shit his pants like, you got to be
because you can kidding. It's funny because the left invented the cancel culture, and as of late it's really bit a lot of them in the hind end.
Oh, yeah, Budweiser's, Cracker Barrel.
It just ends.
Who's the clothing chain that the young girl
A&E, or not A&E, American Eagle.
American Eagle.
I will almost go as far as to say that most people who've been canceled in the last probably 3 or 4 or 5 years have been leftists.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like it's Democrats eating their own, and I support that 1,000%.
Yep.
You just got to know in today's world. I mean, look, I am all for freedom of speech, and I definitely do not like or want to be pigeonholed in us.
But no, to get back to what we were talking about as far as emotions, what we were both feeling, the media, their involvement. And I'm going to be honest with you, the media is involved for a lot of the bad things that are going on in this country right now.
Here's what I'm going to, the first...
Agree or disagree?
Absolutely agree. The first bold statement that I'm going to make during this whole podcast is this. I would like to see Donald John Trump announce to the public via Oval Office and say, I'm going to suspend 60, 90 days, I think 30 is too short, the broadcast licenses to NBC News. Okay, the broadcast, now I know that there was some kind of a sale. Is MSNBC still part of NBC?
You know what, they split up, and I think it all had to do with that Paramount, that big acquisition deal.
Well, they wanted to cut the crazy guy.
Yeah.
Paramount, you can't blame Paramount.
I think the views on some long sabbatical.
They're on vacation.
Yeah.
Okay, all of the usual suspects, major restrictions or suspensions for their entire networks, because nothing's going to change until that kind of bold action. We get most of our news from the internet today. Okay, people like Bill and I, we don't rely on the major networks. We don't.
But I do cruise all of them, though.
I don't.
I do, and actually, I probably watch more.
If I watch CNBC or MSNBC or NBC, it's always clips on YouTube.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know who Rachel Maddow is, unfortunately.
Well, I don't watch that. I mean, I don't think.
But I do want to know. In fact, I've been meaning to look up her thoughts on the Charlie Kirk thing. Now, but she only works a couple days a week. I mean, how much can you expect a gal to work when she's only being paid, what, $15 million a year? Some kind of crazy number. It might be more than that. You can't expect her to go to work every day.
No.
So, but I would like to. Wouldn't it be a shock if Trump said, I have directed the FTC, whoever issues those licenses, I've directed them to suspend those licenses. Now, they can appeal. FCC. Yeah. They can appeal. Appeals take 30 days. Okay. Maybe 90 days. Right?
Yeah.
Well, on appeal, we've decided to lynch you. But here's my point. They have been negligent in their operations. Oh, yeah. They have fought. They have blood on their hands.
Go back to them editing the interviews with Harris, and then
making her sound coherent.
Even with him. Yeah. When he did his interview.
Yeah. And not reporting on things. Yeah. Not just flat out. Listen, and I don't think you're ready yet, but hopefully soon. The Ukrainian girl. People don't understand. That happened a month ago.
Yeah.
And ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, MSNBC, none of them reported on it. Not happening. It had video. Okay? The video actually showed the perpetrator, who happened to be a black man, killing a white woman. Now, had that been the other way around, it would have been running.
The streets would be on fire.
But they would have reported on that literally the same day. Same day. her body wouldn't have even been cold yet, and they would have been reporting on it. Oh, poor little black girl got killed by a white crazy man. But it was the opposite.
Yeah. And Al Sharpton would be out there raising Cain.
And here's the other thing they didn't like about the story. If you watch the video, the guy pulls out of his pocket a pocket knife. It's about that long. The blade's about like that. Okay, probably perfectly legal in every city in the United States. And it was just a little blade. Yep. And when he stood up, he reached up and came down on her neck with this little blade. It wasn't an evil black rifle. It wasn't a semi-automatic handgun. It wasn't a Glock 17. So, let's be honest. There's no, first of all,
there's a will, there's a way.
Here's the thing. Their attitude has always been, if you're going to talk about a killer, don't talk about the knives and whatnot. Don't do that. Because that doesn't fit their narrative in banning guns.
Yep.
Because it wasn't been used.
Well, look at Europe.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of murders in Europe with
Did you see
knives.
that? Did you remember seeing that British soldier getting beheaded on the street? This was years ago, not crazy.
That I don't remember now.
Okay, so here's what happened. Guys in uniform, British soldier in uniform.
Where is this at though?
In London, I believe it was in London.
In London, okay.
Walking down the street. I don't know if he was what he was doing. I don't know if he was on lunch or going to where. I have no idea. A Muslim comes and attacks him from behind, clubs him. The soldier drops, and the Muslim takes a knife and cuts his head off in the middle of the street. This happened. Bigger than shit. This happened. Look it up. You won't have a hard time finding it. And the media didn't want to talk about it. Not the British media, not the U.S. media, and it was being filmed.
Yeah.
See, because that's the thing. Now, I'm not one of those people who look down and harsh upon people filming. Because if you're not capable of taking on an armed person, then at least get the evidence on film.
Yeah.
Get the evidence. If that's all you feel that you can do, not everybody's going to look. If there was a 6'2", 20-year-old anybody with a knife attacking somebody,
it's going to be a struggle.
I couldn't. Maybe if there was 5 or 6 other guys that were willing to go in on it. I ain't Daniel Penny. He was a young man, which I don't know. Are we done with Kirk, or are we gonna? Because I don't want to go too deep into the actions of the training.
Well, and we hit on the Kirk thing a little bit, but the thing that I seen today, I saw so many clips of people celebrating his death.
Sickening. I've seen it too. Sickening.
I can't even find a word for it, to be honest with you, Richard.
I watched a video of a young girl who, I don't know that she was well into adulthood. She might have only been about 20. And she's making a video. I don't know what platform she was making it for. But she comes on and she says, I heard Charlie Kirk got murdered yesterday or killed yesterday. I woke up with a stomach ache. It was horrible. And that was her video. She was trying to be smart.
Yeah.
And all I could think of was that if that was my daughter, I don't have kids, so I can say this, I would beat her for probably 5 good solid minutes. I wouldn't put her in hospital or anything, but I promise you, because if I would have said or done something like that to bring, because she brought shame onto her family. Now maybe her family's garbage, I don't know, maybe they don't care. My dad would have looked at that as me bringing shame onto the family, and he would have given me a hillbilly beatdown. He would have. And that's another problem we have today. All these young kids, they don't have fathers in the homes.
No, and that's a big issue.
Huge issue.
Big issue.
Huge issue.
But going back to watching some of these videos with people celebrating his death, fucking made me sick to my stomach.
Yeah, it was gross.
I mean, just absolutely sick to my stomach.
Well, the gross thing about it, though, is that these young people today, they just don't seem to think anything of it.
No.
It's... And you just gotta wonder, what kind of percentage are we talking about? Are we talking about 5% of the population? Are we talking about 10% of the population?
Well,
I'm talking 18 to, say, 25.
And here, I want to connect to that too, because I've seen a couple people make comments yesterday on social media, people that I know. Mm-hmm. Well, does anybody know that there was a school shooting yesterday? In all actuality, I did not know at that point that
I didn't know.
There was a school shooting.
I caught that. I did catch that.
But all in all, how do you celebrate this man's death? Okay, and then you're going to complain about the school shooting, and trust me, I think it's horrific. Anybody that goes in and attacks any of these schools, these churches, whatever, it's unthinkable. Okay.
Well, violence begets violence.
Well, yes, 100%. But to like go tick for attack, it just is really upsets me.
Well, listen. Let's be honest.
You
especially the people that we went to high school with, some are not very bright. Just not. Could they sit down here and do an hour or 2 hour podcast? No, they could not because they're idiots. But they can come on and say something ignorant and stupid on a Facebook post. They can do that. They can do that blindfolded. But the truth is, a lot of these people are not great thinkers. They don't have the ability to critically think about anything. They can react in a primal way because their brains, for the most part, only have, basic primal function. Luckily these people don't walk around pissing and shitting themselves all day long. It would be horrible if they did.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my take on that.
but again, I mean, I was like reading some of these comments, and I'm like, so we want to downgrade one and and to me they're both on equal playing field. Okay.
Yes. How many kids were killed?
I do not know,
Okay.
and I don't know if any were killed. All I know is there was a shooting from what I was
told.
Well,
and to be honest with you,
I don't want to comment on
And it's kind of my fear about a lot of this stuff because it triggers lunatics, and they want in on the action. Sometimes they just want in because hey, that guy just made himself famous, and I'm living a very a non-impressive life. And I don't have any dream of being known by anybody. And so, hey, maybe if I go to a school and start killing people, then people will at least know who I am. I mean, it's flawed thinking, but it's called insanity.
There's a lot of sad things going on. This country's broken right now.
It is broken.
And to me, when you're celebrating the death of an innocent man,
it shows a sickness. It's a sickness. The smoke of Satan has covered the earth.
It's just they're soulless.
Soulless.
Yeah. So, but anyways, as far as the Charlie piece, I think that in days to come we'll probably have a little more conversation about it.
We'll learn more.
The dots are connected.
We'll be able to process things a little bit more completely. This right now, I think it's just two guys sharing how shocked they were and how let me say one thing. Let's end the Charlie Kirk thing right now on this note, and we can have a discussion about this if you want. Look, Bill is much more civilized than I am. I freely admit to that.
Well, I will say this. We were going to have a guest speaker in here tonight with us.
We had to put him on hold.
We had to put him
on a holding pattern.
Because I didn't want the whole night to be...
Because he's pissed. He's literally pissed.
Yeah.
And I am too, and I know Bill is too, but we're a little more controlled about it. Now, this guy you're going to love. He's amazing. But he's so fired up right now between the back-to-back leftist loonies killing people.
Yeah.
And whether it was for ideological reasons or whether it was race-based passion, two people are dead now.
Well, and hey, you want to know something? What about the United Healthcare guy?
Yeah.
Who did that?
Yeah. What the heck was his name? He shot him in the back, had two little kids.
He assassinated him.
Yeah. See, assassination from a distance, that's the one thing I'll give the guy credit for in the train, although he came up from behind her and she had no idea what was going to happen to her. At least he was within, stepping distance. Still a piece of garbage, and the only one thus far, well, I guess that guy that killed the United Healthcare person's in custody.
Correct.
But the black guy, I think, will be very interesting to. We're going to get to this in just a minute. I don't want to step on it. I did want to say this about what's going on in the world right now. And what I meant by Bill's much more refined than I am and stuff, I am to the point now where I am absolutely 100% sick and tired of turning the other cheek. Okay? I am sick of it. I'm sick and tired of it. And I'm not advocating violence, and I'm not saying that this, that, and the other should happen, but I am saying if things did happen, I would completely understand it. And I think that the left take advantage of us because, well, they're just going to turn the other cheek, they're going to turn the other cheek, they're going to turn the other cheek. You know what? We're getting very, very, very close to where that is not an option anymore. You can turn the other cheek until everyone in your camp's dead if you want, but I'm not going to be one of those that are going to tolerate that. So I did want to say that. I'm over the turning the other cheek thing. I do carry now. I am no stranger. I mean, if you know anything about me and my history on YouTube and the internet in general, I have a lot of guns. I've showed them all. I know how to use them. And for years I didn't carry. But I'm starting to carry now. And that's not my fault. To be honest with you, I was kind of pushed to it. And nobody is going to disarm me and leave me with armed leftists, because the armed leftists aren't giving up their guns.
No, well, and it's funny because they're the first ones that want to take them away from us.
No, they want to take them away from us. Yes. You really got to look at and decipher what's really going on. Yes, because trust me when I tell you, if push came to shove and they took all of our, they banned this, they banned that, if something was to fucking splatter, you'd be shocked. They'd be like cockroaches coming out with AR-15s.
Well, and again, I can respect what you're saying. Myself, I have a lot
turning that other cheek, aren't you?
I have a lot of slingshots. Okay, just so you understand.
But you're still willing to turn the other cheek.
But I'm not going to say. I will say that I will never back down, and I will always protect and take care of my loved ones and do what's right. But
you're not ready for it to be open season on liberals.
But no, and actually, I want to kind of talk a little bit about that piece. I think that, in this country, we need to work closer as far as this level of violence. It needs to be curbed. And again, I suppose we can talk about that a little bit after we talk about a little more of the train incident.
Right.
If we want to go down that way. But I will tell you this. Our president is a president of justice.
He's a man of action.
Yes, and taking care of these crime-ridden cities. And you can't put these numbers up where each week there's hundreds, if not thousands, of shootings in some of these towns. There's double-digit murders every week, assaults, rapes, etc. And a lot of these cities are cooking the books.
Yeah.
They don't even have the real charges reported.
Yeah.
So my thing is
it's a killing field in Chicago, Southside Chicago, period.
We need to, as a country, we need to tone it down.
Okay, now here's the thing. I'm glad you said that. You remember after Donald Trump got shot, this close to taking off his head, what was said? Do you remember?
I don't know, the left probably said that we were going to turn this into a great big deal.
What they said was, as a country, we need to tone it down.
Yeah.
As a country, we need to be more responsible. As a country, we need to have better discourse. Guess what happened?
No, it elevated on the other side.
So here's the thing. We can sit here all day long, Bill, and say we need to tone it down.
But again, and even on behalf of Charlie Kirk, peace is the right way to go. We don't need people killing people. We need people to be able to have a peaceful dialogue. And again, this is where we're having problems with the left. They don't want to have that dialogue. Have you seen what happened with Charlie? And it's a crying shame. I'm sick to my stomach about this whole situation. They have no tolerance, particularly for freedom of speech.
Yeah.
He's out there wanting to have peaceful dialogue, and look what happens.
So I'm going to sing this for Bill. All I am saying is give peace a chance. But all I'm saying is I'm over that.
Well,
that's all I'm saying.
And again, I will take this to my grave. I will not be walked on. I will not let anybody walk on my loved ones or harm my loved ones. I'll protect them to the hilt. and we'll just leave it at that.
Okay, that's fair enough. Fair enough.
But my point is this, and I like the path that Charlie was trying to lay out.
Yeah.
And I honestly believe that I don't believe that violence is the answer.
No, I don't believe that violence is the answer.
But nor do I believe rolling over and playing dead is the answer.
Yeah, because we've been doing that.
So
we've been doing that. When's the last time a conservative nutjob killed a high flyer or an important or whatever? I guess everybody's important human beings.
Everybody's important.
When's the last time a conservative shot a liberal Democrat? Or Democrat in general?
All right, back in the saddle here a little bit.
I'm back!
One of the things that I wanted to talk about briefly, and we talked a little bit about it with Trump and his vision on crime. Well, it's amazing to me that we have all these high-level crime cities, but that's not something that's regularly reported on. Yeah. You don't report on all these people killing each other in these cities. You don't report on all the gun violence when it's happening in these cities. Yeah, it's not a big issue. So that's something that.
And by the way, that goes back to the media being controlling of what. They talk about Pravda, and if you're old enough to know what I mean when I say Pravda, it was a state-run newspaper in the Soviet Union and a state-run news outlet, television-wise, in the Soviet Union, and they controlled the narrative. And that's really what's going on here. Is they've been controlling the narrative, much like Pravda did in the Soviet Union. They control the narrative here, and it's bent to favor their ideology of leftist liberal ideology. And it's a shame. And that's why I said Trump needs to come in and suspend all their licenses. I don't care if it's just a token, because some leftist judge will overturn in a week.
Absolutely.
But put the fear of God in them, because so far when Trump says he's going to do something,
he's going after it.
He's going to do it.
Of course, they're fighting him tooth and nails in every court known to man.
One thing that I think the average American is starting to realize is what we've been harping about for a long time. And we've called it lawfare. Yeah. As instead of warfare, it's lawfare, where they're attacking and trying to manipulate and control the actions of the federal government through law, through the courts.
Yeah, the low-level courts.
But here's the thing about that.
Which we didn't put into govern.
I am shocked to come to the realization of how many lower federal courts there are and how powerful they seem to be. Oh, yeah. And let's be honest, even when the Supreme Court said, no, you can't be a district federal judge in California and then control, look, who's the president here? Yeah. Who's the chief executive here? Yeah. And nowhere in the Constitution does it say that some lower federal appointed court from the other side of the colonies is going to be that powerful. There's nowhere in there does it say that. What it does say is the chief executive is responsible for X, Y, Z. Whatever is not given to the states, is bestowed upon the federal government. And the federal government's chief executive is, right now, Donald John Trump. So, yes, even if Trump does whatever, it's going to be a fight. But one of the things that I think, here's one of the things I'm really disappointed in. I don't know how you feel about this. This could probably be a whole nother podcast. The Congress and the Senate are controlled by the Republicans. They control all the committees. They control the narrative and all that. They control that. But Speaker Johnson has done almost zero, when it comes to making sure that the executive orders that Donald Trump has been implementing are then put into law. And the reason why that's important is that even though the executive orders have had a very positive impact in most cases, if, God forbid, there's a Democrat president in 2 more years, all of them are shit-canned. Yep. Johnson, in my opinion, is not doing his job. Now, he'll be the first to say, well, I got to raise their thin. I got to wait till the midterms, and hopefully we expand our power.
Well, and speaking of that, it sounds like they want to do a convention for the midterm, is what I heard.
Who wants to do a convention?
The Republicans.
Oh, a constitutional convention?
They want to do a convention for the midterm elections. Yes.
For what? For Republicans?
Yes.
Not for Democrats?
No, for Republicans.
I gotta look into that. I know zero about that.
And honestly, from what I understand, and I just a little bit of it, it's just to build energy going into the election.
Okay, I need to do some homework on that because I don't know enough to even talk about
But
it.
I did hear about that.
Yeah,
So
I don't know enough about it even to talk about. And by the way, just FYI,
Yep.
I do not give a rat's ass if it's a Republican or a Democrat. If they're not doing their job, they gotta go.
I agree.
Yeah, they gotta go.
I don't really want to switch the switch too far here, but you know what? There's something that we really need to talk about that's of great importance in history to this nation, and today's 9/11.
Yes, it's 9/11.
We need to spend a few minutes talking.
We need
about
to take a few minutes talking about that because it seems to me that a lot of Americans, now granted, it's been 2 generations since 9/11.
Yep.
A lot of Americans have forgot. They never forget was forgot.
I can tell you this right now. The day that 9/11 happened, I had just walked into my office on Monroe Street, just got my bridge put in right here, and I sat down at my desk, and my brother Donnie calls me. He goes, "Hey man," he goes, "you got a radio or a TV at work?" I go, "Why? What's going on?" He goes, "Something's wrong." He goes, "I just seen a plane crash into the one of the Twin Towers." And I go, "Was it like a little Piper or something?"
Yeah, a little Cessna.
And he's like, "Oh my God." I go, "What?" He goes, "Another one." I go, "Dude, we're under attack."
We're under attack.
I go, "Regular airliners just don't accidentally, crash into the Twin Towers."
Not on a clear day.
No.
Yeah.
No, so that's my recollection of 9/11, and it was just a horrific day.
It was on a Charlie Kirk level, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
As far as the shock,
Yeah.
the realization of what's going on, maybe a little bit more than Charlie Kirk, to be honest.
Well,
with you.
and remember, there was Pennsylvania, and there was also the Pentagon.
Pentagon, yeah. And to be honest with you, Bill, I remember, and I was every bit as in shock, but there's a lot of questions that nobody talks about and nobody wants to talk about. But I don't want to talk about it, so, it is what it is.
Well, and I guess one of the things that I did learn about these guys that hijacked these planes.
The 19 Saudis?
Yeah, and again, this just blows my mind. I only want to learn how to take off.
Yeah.
I don't want to learn how to fucking land an airplane.
Yeah, no need to land.
Okay. Yeah.
There was a
flag.
ton of red flags. No doubt about it, looking back at it.
But
these wonderful Muslims spent their last night on this glorious earth at a titty bar, making it rain with money that was given by somebody.
But
there's a lot of evil in this world, and that was one of the most evil events that I've ever witnessed. When you look at something, you say that is pure evil. That is pure evil.
Well, speaking of that, I saw today that the U.S. just granted permission on this case to sue the Saudis. So think about how many years this has been going on.
Long time.
So they're saying now that.
Well, they should have never been.
There are legal grounds that the Saudis actually had their hands in the pot on this.
But what if the Saudis said, "Wait a minute, hold the fucking phone. George W. Bush and Dick Cheney were right there at the meetings planning this thing"?
Well, again, I think that it would come out at this point. We'll see what comes out.
Here's the thing, and I do not want to go down the conspiracy rabbit hole. I don't. Some days I like to do that kind of stuff. Today is not that day.
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter is that I have watched many of professionals, engineers, and whatnot, and they have had a lot to say that made me go, "What? Hold on, I wasn't told that. Wait a minute, what?"
Right.
Did you know? Just one thing, and then we got to now go down this rabbit hole.
We'll get out of this.
Here's the thing, okay? there's a radio that a radio communications that was leaked, released, whatever, recently, and it is the communications from the lead firemen that were going up stairway after stairway after stairway. They were walking up, and it was the communication with their base unit down on the right outside of the
Ground
building.
level, yeah.
Ground level. You know what they said? We've reached the floor of impact, where the plane impacted. There's some small fires, but we can handle it. 5 seconds later, boom, 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 boom. Just like a casino in Las Vegas. Just like the Sands.
Now, I get what you're saying.
The radio communication was held away from us for a very long time.
Well, I mean, 20.
And that's one of the
years.
beautiful things about the Trump administration. I don't remember who released it, but somebody released it, and we should have heard that back then. We've reached the floor of impact, and there's some small fires, and we can handle it. We can handle it.
Yeah.
Thump, thump.
Well,
That was it.
You know, we talked about the impact, and I mean, if you go back in history, this would have been our Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
Of our.
Well, and much like Pearl Harbor, I'm glad you brought that up. Much like Pearl Harbor.
I don't mean to open up.
Okay, he did it though. Damn it. So in the lead up to Pearl Harbor, the British were on their heels.
Yeah.
France was no longer, for all intents and purposes, ruled by the French, and there was a lot of begging. Okay, from Winston Churchill to FDR, begging. You have to come. You have to help us. We're not going to be able to hold on for much longer. Oh my God. So, FDR puts this, because Democrats love to do this, put these little satellites out and get the. Nobody want to go there. Why? Well, look, there were plenty of people alive who lost children in World War I. We lost a lot of people in World War I. Not only did we lose a lot of people in World War I, how many people were blinded from mustard gas or had their lungs destroyed? They weren't dead, but they couldn't walk across the room without getting out of air because their lungs were just destroyed. The gas, by the way, gas was so horrific that every country that was involved, including Germany, signed on to a Geneva Convention type thing and considered gassing to be a war crime.
No mas. Yep.
Here's the thing: a lot of people don't mention this, but Adolf Hitler was a courier. He was a highly decorated guy that would take orders. He would take messages from one general to another general, and he'd been gassed. So it's 1945. And the Russians are on one side, the Americans and British are on the other side, and they're there, and his general said to him, Monsieur, and they had a huge gas stockpile. We have no choice but to use gas. Now, this is one of those things that goes against the narrative, so you don't hear this being taught.
Yeah.
Adolf Hitler said no. He'd been gassed. He knew what it was like. And he said, no, we're not using gas. That would maybe have been something that could have turned the tide, or at the very least, got them to sue for, everybody to sue for much better, sue for peace, much better conditions. Instead, Adolf Hitler chose to put a bullet in his head. So,
There
gas.
you
Anyway,
There you go.
no more rabbit holes tonight. we gotta talk about the Ukrainian girl.
Yep.
Got to.
Yep.
So here's the thing: when the Kirk thing happened, when Charlie Kirk thing happened, I had said, because there was this avalanche of little Ukrainian girl, but took a month even to report. Once they got into the interwebs, it was building up steam, and all of a sudden, nobody's talking about the little Ukrainian girl anymore. No. So, am I saying that there's a connection? Maybe I am saying that. I don't know. Hey, I'm not saying it's not a conspiracy theory, but I do know one thing. How do you knock a story off of the cycle? You knock it off by a much bigger story.
Yeah.
And she was a wonderful young lady. Apparently thought she was safe in the United States. Definitely safer than having Russian bombs being dropped on her. But she made some fatal mistakes, and I'm not blaming her at all, because the mistakes that she made were mistakes that you would make if you just didn't know, if you weren't told the rules of the situation. But it did manage to, because at the time, nobody was showing the full video. So they basically had the black man behind her with a knife in his hands, and this little girl on her phone, minding her own business.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it went up, everything started getting ratcheted up. So you've seen her getting stabbed. And then they stop. She's cowering, looking up at him, holding her phone in her hand. She's looking up at him. Tiny little girl.
Yeah, like what the F is going on?
Yeah, scared to death, frightened. And then they cut it there. And then the next thing, they showed the whole video. And the whole video, because she was killed, but she wasn't killed. I know it doesn't make any sense. She was going to die. She probably did not know that, but her jugular vein was severed, and she was bleeding profusely. I think she was in shock. She had this menacing figure over her. I don't think at any given time, and I pray that I'm right about this, I don't think at any given time she said, "Oh my God, I'm going to die." I think she was scared to death.
It's in shock.
And here's the thing. At the end of the day, she died alone crying because nobody would help her. Yeah. So then they showed the very final end of the video. Yeah. Two things happened. One, she rolled onto the floor. And that was the end of her. The other thing was the black man, as he was leaving or trying to leave, said to other passengers, "I got the white bitch."
Sad.
It's very sad.
Well, on the other.
Here's the thing. The liberals, the liberal media, are you kidding me?
They don't play that.
They can't.
No.
But it was too late. So what do we do? But somebody kills Charlie Kirk. He's always offering himself up.
But I know what you're saying. But go back to this being withheld from the public
for a month.
And this goes back to the leadership in, I think it's Charlotte.
Yeah.
And their mayor actually came out and made it sound like they were doing a favor by withholding this information.
They were doing a favor to their party and their narrative.
Exactly.
That's exactly it. Because they have a protected class of people.
Yeah.
They have a protected class of people who cannot be shown doing evil things.
Or even yourself as leadership. You can't be shown to be okay with this.
Yeah.
You got to sweep that under the rug as far as you can.
And she swept with the best of them.
Didn't she?
Yeah. And it's almost as bad. What she did was almost as bad as that city councilman in Cincinnati.
Oh my God.
Who said they were begging. Yeah,
woman.
Black woman. They were begging for a beatdown.
Yes.
Trying to justify 10 minorities, people of color, beating the snot out of, beating almost within an inch of their lives.
That woman's face was just...
Her doctor told her, you could have easily been killed.
Yeah.
In fact, by the grace of God, she was not killed.
It was just sad situation.
So the Ukrainian girl was becoming a poster child for everything that Trump was saying was going on in the cities. And, you know what, here's the thing I want to say, okay, because this will be the last thing I'm saying tonight. So, a lot of people, I know, a lot of people have asked me recently, because I've embraced TikTok, how could you embrace TikTok? And I said, and I'm going to do it here, and I said I would do it on my podcast, but I'm not, I'm doing it here, that I had a very good reason why I embraced TikTok. And there was a couple of them that kind of molded together, one of which was that I was told, okay, that the evil Chinese, I'm not a fan of Beijing, I'm not a fan of the Chinese Communist Party, but the evil Chinese were data mining me. Okay, that ain't good. That can't be good. I don't think it's good. You think it's good? It can't be good.
No, that's what I was. This was years back.
But then I found out that all of them are data mining me. When I say all of them, I'm talking Facebook, I'm talking Google, I'm talking Twitter. All of them are data mining me. And here's the funny thing. Zuckerberg, we'll just use Zuckerberg, he'll be the patsy, sells my data to who?
China.
To China. Yeah. So, okay, that nullified that argument for me. And then here was the other thing that happened, and I couldn't help it. I was told over and over and over that black people don't support Donald Trump, that there's a few outliers that do. Your Candace Owens and a couple of other ones. But as a rule, black people, Hispanic people, they don't support.
Minorities in general.
Minorities in general do not support Donald Trump. Well, then I got on TikTok, and it was black influencer after black influencer after a sea of black influencers.
Calling out the violence, calling out...
Not just that, but saying, Donald Trump, we need you.
Yeah, come.
It's like they had the bat light, you know. There was tons of them that professed their undying love for Donald J. Trump. You never hear that from Facebook.
You're not going to see it on NBC. You're not going to see it on CNN. You're not. I mean,
but that was something that was able to be presented at Twitter, or excuse me, at TikTok.
Yep.
And I thought to myself, so which one's freer? Now maybe it's self-serving for the Chinese to show anything that counteracts the narrative of the people in control of the United States. I don't know. But I'm an absolutist when it comes to the First Amendment. First Amendment absolutist. And I needed to know, and I think most Americans needed to know, because I was resenting people of color. It's like, how could you not get behind Donald Trump? He's done more for minorities than any other president. Because remember, he had been president for 4 years. He had done more for minorities than any other president, Republican or Democrat. How can you not be? Well, it turns out that they were for Donald Trump. A lot of them were.
Yeah,
now, I'm not saying the majority, but a
lot more than you want to believe.
So my attitude about TikTok has changed dramatically, to say the least. And I think I've got Bill talked into doing a TikTok. So look for that. What did you say, 19th?
Maybe the 18th, but probably the 19th.
We're going to probably do, just FYI, keep an eye out.
Our first cast will be the 19th.
We're going to have... We're going to have, hopefully under this video, we will actually have links. And we're going to, while we do our podcast for these other areas, we're going to actually film kind of almost a BTS, a behind the scenes of our show. But it's going to be live streamed on TikTok. TikTok!
It's coming.
Yeah. So that's all I got to say, Bill.
Same bat time, same bat place. But no, to end the segment, naturally after at the end of any of our shows, we want to thank the men and women of our military. Yeah. Naturally, all of our first responders. They do so much for this country.
Without them, we're nothing.
And it's dear to my heart. I have nephews. My son's in the military. Yeah. God bless all these men and women. They do crazy, crazy things to protect us. Mm-hmm. And, I have the utmost respect for them. So.
And once again, hearts and prayers to Charlie Kirk family. And the family of that young Ukrainian girl.
Yes.
I'm sure they were very proud that their daughter made it to the United States of America. Yep. The dream for most people around the world is to come here.
Especially when your country's, in war, under attack, so.
It was a dream come true, I guarantee you, for her family to be able. And I don't know if her family's here. I don't know.
I have no idea.
But assuming they are or they aren't doesn't really matter. The fact is that this has been a tragic event. Yep. And God bless her family. My heart goes out to them, and God bless her. I'm sure she ran into the arms of Jesus.
Yep.
So that's it.
Peace.
Peace.
Out.